my slides to share real quick.
Okay.
To kick us off. All right. Oh, I've not shared this way before. There we go. All right. Well, welcome to Agile Detroit. As a reminder, we are virtual. Everyone's welcome from all over the world. We are also free, second Wednesday at 1 p.m. East every month. Today, we're joined by Jon Kern, author of the Agile Manifesto. You also authored some Java things too, right, Jon?
Yeah, Java design, and yeah, it contributed a lot to. This is just holding up my computer, but yeah, another one.
Java modeling color with UML.
Yeah, I worked with Peter Coden and I worked together for years. Founded Together Soft, which is why I was in Russia. But yeah.
Yeah, and so we're going to do a vibe coding session today. It's interactive. Please ask lots of questions. Next month, we have Brian Link, who's going to join us on one of his more recent books, or his most recent book, I should say, that he wrote. He wants to kind of talk about that. And then I haven't booked October yet, because if this goes well, we'll have Jon back and we can do more sessions.
Yeah.
And then I just want to call out, like, meetup rules: be respectful, right? Share the floor, participate at your level. We want you to participate, but if you're not comfortable, we get it. And connect with each other. That's the point of a meetup. So that is the administration done. So we're excited to have you, Jon. Thanks everyone for joining.
You might have to allow me to share. It looks like you're not allowed to share.
Oh.
I might have come in. I gave you 2 different emails. Who knows? You probably, one email is allowed and the other one is just a schmo user. There we go. See it. Nice. Okay, so start here. And yeah, this is something that happy to do in chunks. We can play around as well as we can here today together, but it's really kind of my way of how I think about integrating AI, vibe coding basically, into my work. And I have the closest I've been this excited to, living in the world of being a developer now, or, trying to build products and make people smile, was back in the 80s, late 80s, I guess, mid 80s, late 80s, something like that, when you could get a PC. I didn't have to be, I'm an aero engineer, so, I mostly used some, deck fax through a terminal in the office. So you had to be, you had to be connected to a computer until the advent of a personal computer. So that allowed me to do all kinds of things, learning on my own, moonlighting on my own for, local. I remember, I think the first client might have been tax and financial strategies. Still love the attitude about figure out everything through the eyes of tax implications, not just earnings. And, anyway, that was, what started this off. And I feel like we're here again in a world where I can imagine things. They appear way faster than the old way I used to have to do them. So good or bad. But anyway, I want to kind of share that. And it's something that we can do together, in terms of this little tiny workshop. We'll get however far we get. But I have to say, you can shoot both feet off pretty fast. But I can do things that are, let's just say, more rigorous than I might otherwise do if I had to do it all by hand, or even have team members do it all by hand. So you'll be able to go into this sorts of things, but it's not perfect. But boy, oh boy, is it a blast. So for this exercise, I used to do Conway's Game of Life because it was a similarly trivial application. And it had 4 business rules. Conway's Game of Life was a cellular automaton game where you have grid and cells in the grid could be randomly populated. And then there was rules about every pass you went and said, okay, is the cell surrounded by too many other cells and it dies from overpopulation? Is it, just perfect, then it multiplies, or is it empty and it just nothing happens? So very simple rules. But instead I thought, I just did this over in Nuremberg in person. I think we can handle it here. I thought, let's do a sillier thing because somebody suggested on LinkedIn called like Agile Buzzword Bingo. Similar. It's a silly little UI, bingo card. And I learned, sadly, exercise step number 2, because step number 1 was product vision. Step number 2 was some story mapping. So we can go through this in our heads or together. And it wasn't until we got to step number 2, one of the organizers, there was, I had at least 3 or 4, there's pretty many people. So I, split them into teams to do both this, the product vision. So these are the way I approach whether it's a feature or a feature set or a product. What's the vision? So like step 1. And I don't know how easy it is to take notes somewhere, but if the product is Agile Buzzword Bingo, the idea is you come up with some sort of catchy 25 words or less. What is it we're doing here? What's our purpose? What's our mission? What's the business purpose of this? And you might say something like, I don't know. For those of us who have to suffer listening to muckety mucks talk about digital transformation, we could play a game off to the side and have fun, right? That doesn't sound like a whole lot of value other than having fun, right? It's something as simple as that. Now you might have other things like, well, we produce and we're the insurance benefits team that's producing the benefits side of the application for the, okay, well, can you capture what you do for a living? I build a firefighter app. It's intended to save lives and save properties and provide a lot more situational awareness for the people on the ground that have to respond. When it's 2 a.m. and smoke's billowing out of something. So yeah, it's step 1. There were some funny step 1s, as they each, and this is another thing you can do at work. This is literally, and I'll share these. The first exercise, what is it we do here? What's our purpose? And then share it. So it's sometimes fun to give even of your own selves the same challenge and then have them present and compare. Some teams are pretty good at it, and then coalesce into one. Sometimes it's like, wow, really? Where'd that come from? And then you talk about it. Maybe in a slightly, I don't know, did that violate one of your things about where did that come from? No, because it was that, not you. Like, how did you think of that? So there's some weird things, but I kind of put it aside that, okay, they're Germans. I don't know. I'm German, half German, but I don't know what. I just like, okay, that was weird. And we got to this part. So, whoops, I'm clicking on, the screen share and not the actual screen. So story mapping. I used to do feature-driven development. It's a lot like behavior development, and feature mapping is a lot like story mapping. It's so the next thing is, all right, we want to play Agile Buzzword Bingo. what's that user journey? You know, let's pretend we walk up, there's going to be an app. What's it do? What's the journey that we go through? You know, just talk it out. A lot of times it's, oh, I need to create an application for a mortgage. Okay, let's talk about that. You know, what is it? Or for the benefits, I need to compare different insurance benefits plans and, you know, compare. Okay, let's talk about that. So it's a simple way at a very high level to talk about what is a user going to do with the system to accomplish a certain goal. So, you know, you get a sense of a persona, what do they do for a living, and literally start to write it down. And then below those steps sometimes are variations, because there's nothing here about logging in. There's nothing here, right? So you can imagine it can get more and more complicated. And then you can decide how to do it. So it's a real fascinating way to get at essentially a set of stories that you might want to produce first, and then maybe delay some of the others. So it's a way to even come up with a little bit of a release for this simple buzzword bingo thing. So as this was going on, again, I sort of noticed as I'm walking around the different teams, some look normal and some look like, wow, that's really bizarre. Like, okay, I mean, if I bend my thinking about bingo, like, oh, okay, I don't know why you're thinking an educational thing and learning about, anyway. But luckily, shortly after that, one of the organizers came up and said, Jon, I don't think we know what bingo is. Oh, wow. You know, I always used to do the game of life, and I always pulled up Wikipedia, and there it was to find what I mean, we go to Guatemala. My wife just recently got back because, you know, she runs a lot of volunteer groups. We support an orphanage and a girls' school, and we play. They call it the Lotteria. You know, like it's probably more accurate. It's like the lottery, right? And it's just pictures of, you know, a guitar and, you know, a bird, and so doesn't everybody know bingo? Apparently not. And so that was extremely humbling. Like, oh crap! No wonder now things make sense. No wonder like some of your product visions were weird. I'm not gonna lie, and some of your user journeys are like, I mean, I might be able to bend that into a game, or I might just ignore that because I don't know what you're building, but it's not bingo. So it was really funny. Then I explained it, and then we restarted. So, do you know, Brad? Like, are you interested in if we scribble something somewhere? I don't know if this tool has things to scribble on, or I can spool up like either that, or do you know? I can show you what some of these things look like for real. I'm just asking for how deep do you want to go and practice this and do a little bit together, because I can pull up a very quickly like a Wikipedia thing. I mean let me just go to some place where I draw lots of. Whoops, that's Chrome. Let me move too far.
I don't think we have a built-in whiteboard, so we'd have to use a
let me
space or something.
I'll pull up a whiteboard.
If you need to diagram, maybe Excalidraw.
That's
well, I have a place to do it. I didn't know if there was something, because I think Zoom has a dopey whiteboard feature, because of course.
yeah. So I think Teams does too.
Why not add every feature known to mankind under something that's just supposed to be a you know, a Zoom sharing thing. I'll just go to some blank space here, but these are, as an example. Yeah, you know, so that's all. They don't need to be any fancier than this. They can get super fancy. Whoops, what did I just do? So we'll just go, I'll go under this one. So that's what they look like. So does everybody know what bingo looks like? And it's okay to say no. I will quickly show a picture of it. The real bingo games. Oh, I can also do this. Sorry, a little ADD. We'll watch this. Let's just do it. Whoosh. Game of chance. Oh, come on. Well, so in a lot of places, like a fire hall that you pay money to go and you play bingo, and it's a donation and you can win prizes. It's a card like this. So it's essentially a caller has all of the numbers known under the system. So the caller, he or she will pull a number out of a random thing, and they'll say B25. Oh no, I25. And then you stick a piece of either you put a mark on it, you stick a piece of corn on it, or any kind of marker, and you build up, and you win if you get a diagonal, 4 across, vertical, free space in the middle. That's it. So it's a stupid game of chance. And instead of bingo and numbers, we'll just have something lame like words, right? Buzzword bingo is, instead of I25 and B4, it would just be, oh, they said scale. So everybody gets a random card, and anyway, that's bingo. And it's all about trying to get something in a row. And then there's variations, because you say, okay, now we're going to do corners. Okay. So then you win if you get all 4 corners. But does that make it slightly clearer? Okay. So that's what we're building. Get rid of that. Boom. So back to the story map idea, which is here. All right. So essentially, think of how we might want this to proceed. And it might look a lot like what I have up here, but you might have some other ideas. But that's all we're doing right now. So we can just jointly, jointly decide, like, what do you think the first card should be? I'm just going to copy one. Like, pretend we've created this game, so it's ready for the user. What do you think the user needs to do?
Enter their name or sign up.
Yeah, that's good. Just going to write those down. Oops. Then what?
I could keep going, but I want others to join in.
And say generate a card.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Not even walking. And oh my goodness, I could at least blame it on walking. Why didn't this get the right font? Anyway, we'll figure that out. Generate card, okay. It's a good one. What else?
Join game, maybe.
Yep.
Maybe just for fun, pick a marker.
No? there we go. So I'll explain why I'm doing this. Not like that.
Collect winnings.
Oh, well, it has to come between joining a game and collecting winnings. Well, we can put that down there.
Playing the game, I guess.
Probably.
There's, I'm thinking there's probably two flows, right? There's hosting the game and then joining a game.
Ooh, can people have multiple cards?
Well, in the real world,
Yes.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's, you see them out there, the pros, man. They got like 6 of them. Yeah. And you know, some of it, like you literally buy the card, you know, and then you get a stack, and you know, okay, $5 a card, or $10, you know, 10 cards for 5. I don't know. But yeah, let's do a. So that's interesting. Yeah. What does that imply? What do people think about? Let's
That implies that the card shouldn't come until after they've joined a game, right? Because you can't, otherwise you can have multiple cards across different games.
second, but yeah, there could be where is this taking place? I have a method to the madness here. Not that it matters that much, but yeah, there's something to do with hosting a game, because what does that imply? Especially with the scenario that I kind of painted, like the muckety mucks are doing some meeting and we're all listening, and you know, they're talking about digital transformation or some such agile B crap, you know. And so we're on the side in some private Slack room or something, right? So that's how I interpret that. Somebody has to start the game. Duh. And then other people can join it. That's how I interpret that. Just, that makes sense.
Yeah.
See how simple this is? It's really, I mean, it's such a simplistic idea. And it really is, like, whether I'm talking to you know, an insurance company with a crazy, really cool idea for this amazing stuff that we ended up using semantic web for, it starts like this, literally. It starts with, what are you trying to do? Okay, let's keep that in mind. Let's start talking about things you want to do. Oh, I want to be able to have this game going. Oh, okay. I guess somebody needs to start it. Then other people can join. Then there's a card, probably. And then the ability to choose markers. Yeah. Watch this. Oh, who knows where this goes, right? Maybe it's per game. Anyway, it's cheap at this point to change our mind and move things around. All right, so someone hosted it. People can join it. And to your point, Brad, I think you mentioned different flows, right? It's a little bit like whoever did it first and then shares it quickly. You know, that's the only, you know, like, I got it. I'll do it. I'll make the game. And then other people see it. Okay, anything else between created the game, people join it, I guess you play? Anything else? Good enough?
Yeah, I mean, unless you want like a password or something.
Well,
Like, is it a private game or is it an open game?
I don't know. Oh, you're even talking about different sort of password. And we'll forget that it wrapped the D, but yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and then of course, yeah, if you're officially signing up, like, are you just joining with a name or are you creating an account? Is there persistence? Is there persistence in the games? I don't know if that's MVP by any means, but
Hey, I heard of it. Wait for other users. Oh yeah, interesting. You can play with a picture on things. Thanks. Now I see Perla in chats, wait for other users. And how many users you need for start a game? Well, in theory, just one. So yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so there's sort of a, maybe that we could say, because that kind of maybe to the point about you let people in and then at some point you got to start it. And they do that in real life. They just start, whether you're ready or not. You can go now. In real life, they have a place that shows you the numbers they've called. So you could go get another card. You had to get up from your table, go get a card, get a beer, come back, and then go, okay, well, fill it in retroactively, and then keep working. But here, yeah, that sounds fancy. So, all this is trying to show you with some of these things down here is, as I mentioned, one of the ways you can use this is a bit of what do we need to build first and what could come later. So you could do things like wherever that is. I'm just going to keep it on the screen here, but right, you could say, oh, there's something else. And you could say, oh, something like who knows? You can make things up. But the point is, you might say, I'm gonna wait on that. Gonna wait on choose marker. I'm gonna wait on joining late. Do we need password right away to password protect the game? I see a lot of shaking heads, right? Yeah. So, if you can sort of think of this as like release one. Whee! This is how hard this is. See, all the stuff that we do is a lot of just ceremonies for ceremony's sake. It doesn't have to get that as hard as you think. I always say all we're doing is whoops. That's why they make tools, so you can't misnumber the third one as the second one. But you can think of it like that, where these are, oh, cool, these are the releases of our bingo, as we think of it right now. But you get to a certain point where you've talked enough with the, I should try to boost. Or I often tell teams when I was working on larger products to get the consensus going, you basically know it when you've got enough. Like someone, well, how long is it going to take? Well, I don't know. How big's your product idea? And you get it to a certain point, and you have to be somewhat polite to say, oh, that's super important. Let's dig a little bit deeper. That's a risky thing. I want to hear about it now. And no, I don't need to really hear that we should add middle name to the user account and address. And like, okay, that's boring crap. We can add the fact that we have a user account, good enough. We can add, so it's a little bit of being polite, how not to talk too much detail when it doesn't matter. Like, don't care. And I don't always have polite ways to say don't care, but a lot of times I don't care. Like getting the gist of the model, and that's something that's in in this process as well. Where's my so another step where as we're thinking about this game, you've already said these things. You've already created. There's a concept of hosting a game, join a game. Must be a thing called game. Going to go out on a limb there. Talked about who are the people that are doing this? Players, I guess. They're not just users, but maybe they're players. What are we creating? Oh, you said generate what? You said generate a card, and we didn't even talk about what's on the card. But yeah, we're gonna put silly phrases on a card. So this domain model sketch is extremely key. And let me going to the wrong thing. So if I showed you something else. So I'm not just pretending I do this. This literally was, now my buddy jokes with me, he says, didn't you build like a UML modeling tool? Why, yes, I did. And we sold it to Borland and I don't use it anymore because I don't know where it is. So it's kind of sucks to do it in this product. And there's fun little products like UMLet. That's simple. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's just getting your thoughts around it. What do we mean by what is a transcript analysis? It's got a segment, and people are making a bid to talk at a higher level, and did somebody knock it back down or did it take up? So, all right, let's just jot it down. So literally, this is how I work, and literally this is, up here, these are, I don't know, what am I looking at here? Yeah, elements in the domain model. So the reason the domain model is important is, I like to say, it's the lingua franca. It's the words we're going to use, whether it's a class, a view, a test, a database table, the real world that people use, that we're talking to, real users, real customers, real experts in the subject. We don't need to invent words. Let's just use their words. So it's my way to reduce the friction. It's hard enough to talk about abstract concepts, let alone when I say a word, it doesn't mean the same thing to all the people on the team. That's a real problem. I always say aligning the thought bubbles above our head is the most critical. So the domain model goes a long way. I can show you crazy stuff. From 1995, building IBM's manufacturing execution system with maybe 200 or 300 problem domain classes. The bill of materials, product, unit of work, manufacturing process, hundreds of domain classes, and it's the language in which we not only build. So I'm not going to say the solution space always matches exactly. There's chunks of that match for sure. Like if I look at your database or class, if I look at your entity relation diagram, and I can't tell what business you're in, that might be a problem. But like, wow, that's what some PhD abstract person create this? Like, how come I can't tell you're in insurance? True story. I was at a place, and I was like, whoa, that looks pretty abstract. Does your performance suck? Yeah, how'd you know? Yeah, just a wild guess. So you can go to extremes, just saying. Well, like, okay, everything doesn't need to follow. Oh, I can't see. Oh, yeah, there it is. Everything doesn't need to follow crazy stuff like this, right? The good old, you see where it's relegated. It's just something to hold up from the computer. My desktop. Anyway, so there we are. This is what it's going to look like. I'm going to put some cards on it. The way we start is literally as simple as what Suzanne said. I don't know. Enter a name. Yeah, sounds like a great place to start. I mean, we could just say start game too, but that's no fun. That looks harder. So the beauty of this sort of thing is we can choose, all right, we're going to do this simple thing. We're going to start here. And what I've prepared, and like I said, I did this in about 2 hours, and you can get a game out the door. So we'll go as far as we can, and then we'll pick it up. But what I created was, I am in Agile Bingo Detroit. I will say, let me, sorry for this. I will say, you think of it as pairing with this AI thing, this agent. I know people, and I remember reading that I use Replit.com. It's got Claude under the covers. I'm sure there's other ways and better ways. I don't know. But it's been working for me since September of last year, so I don't have time to look for something different or better. Just not interested. Happy to spend the money on this. But I use it essentially within the framework that I'm showing you. Like, okay, cool. I mean, the work that I showed you for some real projects, literally next step, I then move to Replit and I start building, sneaking up on the answer and building things. So I know some people create these big specs. I know some people get the agent to go off and build for hours. Like, just makes my head explode and hurt. Like, maybe it works. I don't know. I'm just not that. Yeah, maybe I'm old school, but I treat it as a different way to get code written, but still small, tiny steps, tested, thinking, like, yeah, as much rigor as you need. Like, I built an art criticism machine as an homage to my father, because he built one for real. And my first go at it, like, I don't know, $7 in an hour. I was waiting for my sister. I took her to, she had outpatient surgery. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. They got a cafeteria and coffee machine. I'm good. I'll just sit here and make this thing up. And it's a funny thing. He actually has a wooden version of it. It's pretty hysterical.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and this is like from the 70s, and just poking fun. He was a dean of art, but he was a Renaissance man. You can see he's a furniture builder. He built a solar collector to heat water that tracked the sun. Like, oh my goodness! And my thermodynamics at the time. Oh wow, there's a lot of numbers that you kind of have to know empirically. Crap, they didn't tell me that at school. But anyway, so I built this, and then I did it in 6 languages, and then I made it so you can add it to a photo of a piece of art, and then tweet it out or something like that. Okay, that might cost $20. Ridiculous. There's not a chance I could build this on my own. I don't know enough how to do that, right? At any rate, so did I do this with great rigor? Nope. None. Pretty much none. Are there any tests? I don't remember. But that's not how I build everything else. So my point being, it's not a one size fits all. You control what you need. So, and I'll also say, it took me a while to build this. I have like a template project that I can copy and like fork it into a new branch and call it Agile Bingo Detroit. And this is how it works. So I made it so that you can write a failing test, because AI loves to please. Oh, yeah, very ADD of me again. So funny. This was my first. Okay, yeah. I wrote this up. What am I going to give it its first prompt? All right, I'm going to try to make it like I work. All right, you're really pragmatic. I love simplicity, right? All this kind of crap. Avoid overengineering. And then what are we doing? We're building this cool Buzzword Bingo game. Whee! and this is the tech, because it told me what the tech was. So I'm like, all right, I'll just copy that in there. Probably didn't need to do that, but I thought I'm just trying to build something so I can consistently, because before I used to do the game of life, I had like a GitHub repo that I would just give people, and they'd have to fork it and figure out how to get working, how to get BDD and TDD working on their box. So here I'm just trying to do the same thing. And I said, just take the project to the point where you have a hello world generated from Cucumber style test, right? When I open the web app, when I enter my username, Suzanne, then I should see hello username, right? What did it do? It built the whole freaking thing. This is hysterical. That's what this is. It rebuilt, like it literally built a card. It knew I said bingo. Nowhere on here did I say build anything. So I was like, okay, delete. So that's what you're battling, is it wants to please. It will happily over-engineer, overdo. Sometimes it's nice, for sure, but other times it's really frustrating. So this was like, okay. And I literally did delete. And I'm sure I might have said funny things to it. I'm always polite, not always. Sometimes it does stuff. I'm like, dude, like, you're on drugs. What are you doing? Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'll get back to what I was doing. Like, sometimes it goes on a freaking tangent. It's wild. Not too often, but it does. Like, because a lot of times I'm doing multiple projects. So I come back to the one, and like 40 minutes later, it's just like his whack job. But anyway, so I got it to this point. I said, you're right. And then I overemphasized, don't build it. Don't. Just give me a failing test. So anyway, that's what we got going on, and that was non-trivial, even though that sounds silly to say, because of course, if I'm in RubyMine, it's not going to do anything other than I'll write a BDD feature, I run it, and it fails. So at any rate, I think I might have had it run the first test, and the first test looks like hello feature. Right? So there it is. Given I open the web app, when I enter a name, then I should see hello Alice. And you run it, and we get our failing test. So I don't know if you're familiar with behavior-driven development, but the beauty about it is, has anybody ever used Cucumber? Anybody familiar with that? So it's,
I mean,
go ahead.
I've heard of it, but I haven't used it.
I don't know why it's named after a delicious green vegetable thing. Reason to eat ranch dressing, but it's essentially a way to express what it says, the behavior that the user should expect. So you can create features. It's a way to. It's great for testing because it's pretty clear. The normal test mode of, you might hear arrange, act, and assert. So set things up, take some action, assert something should happen. Given something is set in a certain way, when I do some action, then I should see some results. So it kind of follows the same whether it's unit tests or not. And yeah, that's another good one. Yeah, make sure you're in plan mode, which, let me move this up so you can see that, because my toolbar went to the other screen. There we go. Yeah, this little thing. So at any rate, what it does behind the scenes is it builds, these are little method calls. So it's really clever in how it works. Now, in the land of Ruby, which is where I use it the most, it's, essentially it's methods with the really funny names, like regex to match. I open the web app, so that's going to be literally, there's a method called that. So if I use that in 6 other features, it just calls the same method. It's not writing it 10. So part of it is getting, make sure you get your lingo right. Make sure if you change your mind about how do I navigate to a different page, how do I click on a button, make sure you try to be consistent. But that's it's funny. That matters, especially when I'm writing the code. It kind of may or may not matter as much when someone else is writing the code, like Replit, like Claude. But that's what this is. So it runs these steps. So this is what it looks like, right? There's some step down here that's going to look mysteriously like given I open the web app, and this is what it does. Some hunk of code. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to do that. Right, so it's try to get the mystery out of it. Super powerful. But I could spend a whole Agile Detroit session telling you amazing things, including synthetic testing that you can do with Cucumber. It's wild. But anyway, that's what we're talking about. Is this runs and it failed. Of course, it failed because we didn't write anything yet. So, in the interest of moving to the next step, in the next 5 minutes, let's at least get something running. What do you think, in your mind's eye, the user interface looks like for this? You can talk while I'm typing.
An empty page with a text box and a prompt to put my name in.
Sounds good to me.
I feel like an A+ student.
That's the beauty of something like Rep. It makes us all feel like amazing. So, all right, we want to get passing by. Let's see if it works. So similarly, I've got some of what I do. I'll often have a handful of tests I might call smoke tests. They are things that just run really quick and make sure nothing stupid's broken. And I learned that early on, like 26, like a long time ago, finding somebody in like an empty state, just being confused, like, yeah, we shouldn't let that happen. Okay, just simple things to keep dumb stuff from breaking, and then running hundreds of other tests. Okay, well, let's see, do we trust it? So you can see it spent a whopping 19 cents, which, yeah, okay, what's it doing? Who knows? Probably not doing much. I'm just going to run a test just for fun. See if it's lying. Okay, yeah, it didn't lie. I wonder what it looks like. Whee! Yes.
Exactly what I pictured.
I think yeah, that's the old, what were the thought bubbles above all our heads? Pretty much that, right? Which is good. Okay. Good timing. Yeah, so love to pick it up and make a real game, because with at Nuremberg, we actually got a game running and even a QR code to run it. So, and it's funny because I think I did a closing keynote, and I think I quickly demonstrated it. I forget what I did, but I know I put the QR code and I could see people were playing it just for fun while I'm talking. Why don't you go and play this? So we can easily take that next step. And it's a fun workshop to run with your teams. And I'd be happy to play or mess around with anybody and work with us. You can contact me. But it's the things that, let me, the things that you can build are insane. And I'll just show you quickly and briefly as an example. I mean, this is a firefighting app, but at any rate, the crazy thing that ignore some of this stuff. Sometimes I put, this is super admin only, so sometimes I put crap in there that I don't care about, you know. So there's a lot of stuff here like importing legacy data, but I did some crazy things like there's a couple of dopey, weird deployment quirks of trying to get the PDF generator and my crazy Imagely photo editor, and they kept breaking for a while. I was like, all right, God damn it, this is pissing me off. Build me, and this is a little bit of a synthetic monitor. Build me a way to just ping it. After I deploy, ping it, tell me the thing's alive, right? You know, bitch at me if it dies, because a couple times early on it was bumpy. And it was like my buddy, you know, my buddies at demoing. This is a staging server, so I've done that. Maybe if I had staff and money, I didn't care about. And then things like security audit, so that we can answer when the big companies come, like Schindler Elevator, Pfizer, or Bristol Myers, or, you know. So I started off, of course, it, you know, this didn't look as pretty as it does now. You can see 43 resolved. But I was like, yeah, let me do pen tests. Let me do a lot there. Identity access management, data security and privacy, you know, SOC 2 compliance, ISO 21, right? So I built all of these things with the help of Replit, and even things like, you know what, some of this is just, you need some documentation. Okay, help me write some. Others were legit. Oh yeah, I forgot to tweak this setting in my user. So, you know, this is just pretty crazy stuff. That would I do this? This used to live in a spreadsheet, and it was always a pain in the ass whenever somebody asked us to. Now I can just say, all right, pretty sure none of your other vendors do this kind of crazy ass, you know, transparency about what's in the system, and it runs from the system. And then same thing with, this is probably going to look bad, I don't know if I upload the latest data. I've been playing with RubuCop a little bit. Yeah, so there's line coverage for real, but I must have pushed something without it. And I'm still playing around with RubuCop, because you can, I don't know if anybody ever do like linters and things like that, but you can get an awful lot of complaints, you know, like, oh, you're such and such a yes, and you can turn them on and off. So I haven't completely tuned that. I'm just showing you stuff that you can do to reach whatever crazy levels of compliance, and build it as part of the system, not some always pain in the rear, you know. Anyway, I'm now at the end of my session and leaving no time for Brad.
Thank you, John. If everyone liked that, and if we want to continue and build this out together, then I haven't checked John's calendar, but we've already discussed having him come back for multiple sessions, as many sessions as it takes. So as I mentioned, we have Brian scheduled next month. So then October, November, we can continue on. So I'm seeing head noddings.
I'd love to. This was great. Especially like, I know this is a vibe coding session, but I'm taking that story mapping exercise back to my PMs because they need some help.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And as I said, happy to bits and help and be on a call. You know, I give free, you know, I was just even complaining to my boss, you know, Simon. So yeah, more people outside of my company, I give time to. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I loved about it, John, was that you didn't start with build me something. You started with what you normally would do, which is story mapping, breaking down what is it that we want to do.
Yep. I thought it was a mic drop moment, Suzanne. Yeah, just.
Oh yeah, I saw my piece and then I was like, all right, bye.
Yeah, so happy to hit me up. I'll share materials. Happy to appear as a talking head on some device like this.
Yes,
yeah.
I am going to bring this back to my team. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. I will hopefully see you all in a month.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it as always. A lot of fun.
Definitely.